pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now call the village board meeting to order, November 21st, 2019. Roll call shows Jim, Carl, and Allie are excused. Everyone else is here. Number 3 is agenda changes. Nothing. We will move on to consent agenda. A, November 7th, 2019, regular board meeting minutes. B, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village as presented. Are there any questions?
I have one correction. When I spoke about cookies with the cop, the bulk food store is not purchasing or not donating the dough. However, we have a different donor for the dough. It says the bulk food store donated the dough, icing, and sprinkles. We just donated the sprinkles and the icing.
Okay. No, thank you. Okay.
Any other questions? If not, could we have a motion?
I'll make
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. 5, pre-registered citizens to be heard. There are none. 6, committee reports. A, library board.
We have not met since the last meeting. Our next one will be on December 3rd.
B, public safety committee.
Jim is not here, so the meeting is the attachment that I handed out from November 30th. The meeting minutes, page and a half backside. I'm going to take a minute to look at it. The sexting ordinance is being taken up tonight, as is the vision complaint by alley number 2, as is parking on 9th Street. So these are the, we could read through these now, or we can talk about most of them as we get to the topics on the agenda. So if there's any other discussion, if you want to take some time to look at it. Sexting ordinance was reviewed by Mr. Sorensen, and then we did have conversations in regards to the others with the people adjacent to those areas. So if there's any questions, I can address them if you get something on any of the topics.
If there's no questions, we'll move on
Can I
to,
look at it? I didn't get a copy
Oh,
of it.
I'm sorry.
you want a minute, Chris?
The only thing I would like to add is that I did make contact with, in regards to the parking on 9th. So,
We'll move on to number 7, unfinished business from previous meetings, and there is none. Number 8, new business. A, R-21-19, resolution adopting salaries for the village board.
In the packet, that's the first one in the packet. No changes, as I was made aware. Village president, $350 a month. Trustees, 3 positions, $250 a month, 20 meeting. Both with separate terms. Obviously, the village president also term of 4 of 21. Obviously, we need a resolution, we need an approval and a second. R21-19.
So as we discussed last meeting, no action at all taken. We were gonna probably discuss this and bring it up next spring.
Table it after the vote in April.
Okay.
That's what the recommendation was.
Any other questions? And then we need a motion.
Motion to approve R-21-19, resolution adopting salaries for the village board.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. B, R-27-19,
Yeah, why don't you do it, you do a roll call.
Okay,
I didn't put, when in doubt, do it.
okay. Then we'll have a roll.
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
Thanks, Matt.
B is R-27-19, resolution authorizing sharing of county sales tax.
So essentially the, excuse me, the village was served notice of the 0.5% sales tax and how the outpay would qualify the village for funds to equate to $29,976. It is a complicated procedure. However, we did find out that, and the calculation is on the, so if you're reading your resolution there, it is included in the resolution for municipalities, the equation of how they calculated our share of that. Like I said, the village of Hortonville would be payable $29,976. Why we have to have a resolution is because they are proposing that this gets put into direct levy reduction for the village residents, and we're also gonna see a share of this in 2020. So we have to have a resolution to agree to this.
21.
21, yes. So we have to have a resolution to, actually 2020, we're gonna see part of it.
Both, we're.
Yeah, so we will see a dividend cut halfway through the year in 2020. So we have to have a resolution to be able to accept these funds for 2020 and include it in our budget, which it is for next year. So we've noted this as a revenue source in the proposed 2020 budget.
So the 29,000 you said
Yes,
is an annual?
Or
As of right now, it's a 1-year agreement, so it could change.
Oh, okay.
So we're expecting a lawsuit out of this because it's Brown County. This is the same thing that happened in Brown County. So there was a lot of negatives out of this, but this was the governor's way of splitting the proceeds, what he felt was appropriate. So there's pros and cons to this, but this is what we would see as our share. We essentially have to do the paperwork to approve it if we want to take these receive these funds.
I'm interested in how they come up with the number.
It's population, road, and equalized value.
It's actually on your sheet here.
Okay.
Okay.
And the big question there is it's for the purpose of directly reducing the property tax levy. So,
Correct.
you know, exactly what does that mean? And we think there'll be clarification on that within the next year. So, you know, we need to resolve and say we'll do that, but exactly how we do it, I think, is still up in the air, Dave.
Yes, correct. And essentially, we already have that built into our budget for 2020. I mean, that's the goal of, honestly, that should be the goal of every municipality to reduce, unless you're adding to it. So, I mean, we're well within the realm of what we need to do here to qualify for the funds.
Any other questions? If not, could we have a motion?
Motion to approve our 2719 sales tax shared revenue resolution.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I do that by roll too.
We need a roll?
I think so.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Motion approved.
One thing we may want to note on that is an approximation also. That could go up, it could go down. That was what their best guess estimate was. So, yep, absolutely. So if you guys have a big Christmas, it could go up. So.
C is R-28-19, resolution to approve loan for $100,000 prior to December 5th.
Again, this is, excuse me, this is part of the 2020 budget proposal. This is part of the near cash financing option that we are choosing to take for the village. Now, we don't have to take this. If we have approval on this, this is still dependent on approving the budget proposal on December 5th. However, we have to have this paperwork in order prior to the December 5th, because this has to be a long-term note, which equates to 1 year and 1 day, and it has to be signed before your approval of your budget. So we need to do this. We have to resolve this, have a resolution in place in order to proceed with what we have proposed for the next board meeting on the 5th. Again, it's for $100,000, 3.25% interest. There's no prepayment penalties. We can pay down if we so choose at any time. The way we structure it is that we'd give them $20,000 halfway through the year. We can have it paid. It has to be paid before December 31 of 2020 in order for us to be appropriated, and how Kerber Rose would do the auditing on it. So essentially, we know the maximum interest we would carry would be $3,250. With the payment principal, Jane actually had there's on the resolution, it shows the exact amount of interest for the principal and interest on the $80,000 and the $20,000 of principal also. So it'll be less than $3,250 with that little prepayment that we do ahead of time. Again, just a technicality. We would still need to do the formal approval on the 5th for our budget plan. If there's any questions, I can address them also. Pre-approved with Wolf River Community. This is a very common financing technique for municipalities.
That December 5th vote, that won't be a separate vote, that'll be right with the budget, correct?
Correct. Yes, yep. This would be part of that whole.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, can we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve R 28-19, resolution approving the loan for $100,000 from Wolf River Community Bank.
Second?
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. D is motion and discussion on year-to-date financial reporting.
This was also something that came up in conversation in the past. We tried to address it last meeting. We didn't have an action agenda item on, it wasn't itemized on the agenda listing. So again, I want to bring it up for discussion moving into 2020 to give direction to myself and office staff. How would the village board want to see year-to-date financials? Monthly, quarterly, semi-annually? It's at your discretion. We can produce it on the spot with the Civic that we have, the hardware or the software that we have. It's just a matter of how you want to see it. You want to see it electronically? You want to see paper versions?
We used to get it, what was it, monthly?
Yeah.
Wasn't every
We got it
month?
every month.
Usually at every meeting, or was it?
At least
monthly?
once a
No,
month.
it
I mean,
was-
I would be okay with a quarterly paper, but I mean, electronic, so at any moment in time, we could ask for electronic copy, and if we just know what we're asking for, then
Yep.
it's just, but the paper one was nice, because then you could kind of compare one to the other and see kind of where you're at, but that's my opinion, I don't know how you guys feel.
Would you want it monthly?
No,
No,
quarterly.
I don't think
Just-
so either.
Just, I think it helps us, I think, keep track of where we're at on the budget, and it's not that we're babysitting, it's just so that we know where we're at, like when we came up to the police budget. I didn't even know where we were at when we sat down for that meeting, and I think that would have helped the situation, we would have known, or at least I would have known personally where we were at.
Well, I recall we would get a stack this thick, and that's a lot of paper.
It is a lot of paper.
So my recommendation is do it electronically, and if you want to print it out by page, you could,
Yeah,
or print the whole thing out.
you could do that.
And we'd save all that cost.
I don't mind it electronically.
No,
It
neither
doesn't
do I.
bother me at all. I just,
The only thing I don't want to do is store it. You know,
yeah,
I don't want to save it,
yeah.
but it is public record, is it not? Yeah, so.
It's in my
it really doesn't-
email, I just,
If somebody asked me for,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I would have the right to release it to them.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's no security issue there.
Why don't we do it for the first board meeting of the month electronically?
yeah, if it's electronic, it could just simply be,
Mhm.
is that feasible with, do you have anything that would, okay, that would make it
No.
easier the first or the second board meeting, Nathan?
Libby honestly, Libby with voucher systems
Second.
is,
Mhm.
Would probably be better,
Would be a little easier.
the second after the quarter. So,
Yeah.
Second. The
Board
second
meeting?
meeting?
Second board
board.
meeting,
Yeah,
Correct.
that makes sense.
yeah.
just because there might be some,
Yeah.
payrolls getting
That's-
added in and.
And sometimes the board meeting could actually be the first of the month, well, then that's, yeah,
Mhm.
maybe second board meeting,
absolutely.
yeah.
So electronically, quarterly, and the second board meeting after the end of the quarter. Is that right?
And it would be nice to have the end of the year
No.
each year, once the auditors are done.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless somebody wants it in paper, but I personally would rather it electronic, but.
There's no motion to be. on that.
Okay.
It's just for our.
That's
Yep,
recommendation.
absolutely. So we will take care of that.
E is O-23-19, ordinance prohibiting sexting.
That's all you.
This was brought up at the public safety meeting concerning the sexting. We are finding the need that we have to have a sexting ordinance due to the images that are being sent back and forth through Snapchat and primarily Snapchat. At this point, there's nothing that we can do at the DA's office as far as criminal charges unless it's pornography dealing with adults and children. Most of the electronic things are from one to the other, so.
The only concern I have is that we specifically say human male or female, and I think we could just remove the references of male or female. We have students in the high school that are transgender students, and some of them are on hormone therapy, so they may biologically be a female, but they're developing into a male, and I would hate for that to be a catch. Somebody saying, well, I didn't take a picture of a male or a female breast. I took a picture of a male because they're a boy. But they're biologically a male and developing into a female. And I would hate I would hate for that to be a problem later on. And I just think if we remove the reference of male or female, what do you, I mean, I don't know about, I don't know if we even have to have it in there. Human genitals.
Yeah, it's not the person, though, it's the part of the body, right?
You know,
So, I mean,
and the other.
arguably, you would be male or female as to that issue.
My fear is that, I fear that there's somebody out there who's maybe in a transition, and somebody takes a picture of their bits,
Right,
and they're sharing that picture.
right.
So now that student is really the victim. Well, then the student can say, well, it says I can't take a picture of female breast, but they're a male. Well, they're a male developing into a female, and they have breasts. And I know that seems like a big topic for high school students, but we do have students in our district that are on hormone therapy. And I think
But it
we're,
strikes me, you know, it says human, male or female,
Just
so it
human.
strikes me that's from a physiological standpoint. You know, when you're talking gender,
I get where you're going on that, but I can see a student saying, well, I didn't take a picture of a female breast. He's a male. I took a picture of a male's breast.
but I think it's referencing the genitals in this instance. I mean,
It
it's an
references
adjective.
female breast too.
Yeah.
And that's the one I've really I've struggled with. I've tried
Oh,
looking at
okay.
more of a non-binary reference to that.
Yeah, that would be, on that one,
Yeah,
I would agree with you.
that's the one I struggle with, I think, the most. But you know,
Male or female?
because I feel like somebody's gonna take a picture, somebody who's been Tommy up until 10th grade, and now Tommy is gonna be Tammy. And Tammy is taking hormones because that's
Yeah.
what their
Why
family's
don't-
doing.
Yeah, we could change that to include male there, and then, because you still have to have the other aspects of it, that, you know, it's,
I just would hate for a student to be a victim because they're not biologically.
yeah, why don't we at that, on that one, just, yeah, we just say showing of the breast, let's eliminate the
Female.
female.
Is that gonna be a problem, Chris? Like if there's a male chest, like,
Could be.
it could be.
But
they
again,
should
but
be-
again, it's gotta be,
But
there's gotta,
normally, you don't refer to male chest as breasts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. I just would hate for a student to be a victim and
Well-
then not be, because they're not a female.
Well, and these ordinances are difficult. I mean, if you have somebody
Yeah.
with a lot of money that wants to challenge it, you know, there's always legal issues with these, but, it's gonna allow us to deal with the problem, as I see it.
Yeah, it covers what you need. I just would hate for, and I'm not saying that a transgender student is taking a picture of their own. Is what I'm saying is someone else got a glimpse and they took a picture. And now that student, because they're biologically a male, but now they're developing into female parts. I just don't, That's my only recommendation on this, is that, that's the part that makes me nervous. I think of the victim. Because that does happen too, where somebody gets a picture taken of them they don't know.
Right. And the way that I read the ordinance is female breast, meaning a breast of, that looks like a female's breast, okay? So it doesn't look like a chest. And the same thing with the human male and female genitals. They're saying either it's this part or it's this part
Right.
that
That's the way I take
they're
that.
Yeah.
taking photographs of. So I don't know that,
That's, yeah, I
I
guess
don't-
you're right, Chris.
I don't know that it specifically.
Yeah,
mean-
I agree with Chris, I've changed my mind.
Okay.
Because, that was my position with the genitals, it's not referencing the human, it's referencing body parts.
Yeah.
And your point's well
Right.
taken, so,
But what about the
I-
breast?
same, but it'd be the same issue.
Right.
It's
If
not
it
the
was-
female that we're talking about, it's the body part, the breast.
Right.
I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
but,
I do too, yeah.
We have males in our high school that are developing breasts.
Right, but because they're developing breasts that look like females, so we're
Okay,
doing female breasts.
yeah, I'd say it's a descriptive thing. And again, it has to be, prurient, morbid situation, for
I just think of a victim.
gratification.
I'm trying to
So-
protect that victim, you know?
And I
They're-
think
kids are
this,
ridiculed.
I think this will.
Okay.
I was agreeing with you to start with two, Julie, but now I'm thinking about it, I think
Yeah.
it does cover it.
I just,
I think, yeah, I think I would agree, because
I
it's
just-
describing, yeah.
An item.
yeah. It's a hard thing, and I did reach out, to a friend of mine whose, child is a transgender student, and there's a lot of non-binary things, but they generally are the victim when it comes to somebody thinking, well, this is Tommy, he's always been Tommy, and now he's gonna be Tammy, and look, check, get a load of this. And a kid takes a picture and then shares that picture.
But, and I don't think, I mean, somebody who's doing this investigation, we're looking for this part or we're
Okay.
looking for these parts.
So if that part's on there, but biologically that's a male student, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
It shouldn't matter.
it shouldn't matter. Shouldn't happen, let's just say that, but it shouldn't matter, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable position to take in court if somebody challenges it on
Yeah,
that basis, so.
okay.
Yep.
I just felt it needed to be,
Yep.
I needed to
Yep,
talk
no,
through it.
No, that's right,
Okay.
that's good.
So you're looking for a motion?
Yes.
Yes,
I'll make
please.
the motion to approve O-23-19, Village of Hortonville, an ordinance creating section 9A.04, sexting prohibited on the village code, of the village code of ordinances.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. F, discussion, action on no parking exiting alley number 2, vision complaint.
Yes, this is the area in front of the former PD building, also part of your public safety notes. So as part of the public safety committee meeting, I did have a conversation with the owner of the building. She said 95% of the time that somebody is parked in the area under discussion is her. And the reason she does that is because of the garage doors. She parks in front of the garage doors to keep people from parking there, so at any time she can enter and exit the garage doors.
That area is painted yellow now.
It is.
It is.
It is?
It is, and it hasn't been enforced. I basically, Carl and I asked if we could put a sign up. She did not want to do that on the building. I asked if we could then reinforce the yellow paint in the spring, and she said absolutely. She said that would then allow people to really realize that they're not parking there. She said, I bring my vehicle up first thing in the morning, park it there, so nobody else can. So she said, if you want the problem avoided, I'll just not park there. So,
And I can pass that on to the officers and make sure that they're issuing tickets to vehicles that are parked in front
So
of
that's
their.
her white Toyota there?
yes, that's the groomers.
The groomer, but not Claire, okay.
Yep. So, yeah, she said the majority of the customers at the groomer, they park in the rear parking lot. Part of our capital plan is to finish that parking lot this year. So it's only gonna get better for them
Yeah.
behind there. So I think the issue will be avoided. It's just unfortunately, we're doing this in November and we really can't put paint down right now to administer that. But, she has no problem with it. she just said, we'll just make the change now to avoid the issue. So, no formal action would need to be taken on that, if you're all in agreement with that.
Because it's already a no parking
Pretty much,
area, we're
yeah.
just,
Right.
Just needs to be enforced.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions? We will move to G, discussion action on parking on Nye Street by Nash intersection.
That is Mr. Carl's beautiful map that I handed all of you. Did you get one of those?
No, but I helped him.
Okay, so this is Chris and Carl's beautiful map that they drew up. So,
None of the napkins.
there you go. Yeah,
I did, I think I drew this on a napkin for him.
you wanna talk to it then?
Sure.
Okay.
A while back when we had parking complaints that people were parking across from, or parking with their front ends or rear ends across the people's driveways, we went and we painted yellow throughout all the driveways around there. We also, at that point, we had painted this, going around this corner here. But what we're doing is when they're coming around the corner here, this still isn't enough, so we're proposing, or we propose to put a, no parking from here to corner,
An additional sign.
an additional sign, about a car to 2 cars beyond where the yellow is. And then on this side here, they're parking all the way up to the stop sign. So we are looking to put another sign, and I believe it's gonna be 60 feet from the stop sign. We're not gonna put yellow, no, it's 30 feet, I'm sorry. But we're gonna put a sign stating no parking from here to corner, so that they're not parking on top of that stop sign either.
I was wrong then, Dan. So it's 30 feet from the stop sign, not
Yep,
from the
30
corner.
feet.
Yeah, that's what I asked about,
Yep.
because this says 30
30
feet
from the corner.
from the intersection of the radius.
Yep.
Yeah, and I believe that we decided that it was gonna be from the stop sign.
Yeah,
Because-
if it doesn't go from the stop sign, there's no change.
No, there isn't,
They have to
because,
be 15 feet from the stop sign already.
right,
They
yep,
don't
Oh,
either.
yep, so it was gonna be 30 feet
But they
from,
should be
They
taken.
should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
essentially, we'd be adding 2 more signs yet this year and then repainting in spring
Okay,
when we can because of the weather, obviously.
so the paint is just a matter of because of the weather?
Yes.
Okay.
You can put it down, Julia, but it's not gonna adhere.
No, I
and-
get
and
it,
then
I get
maybe-
it. When she
yeah.
said not paint, I went,
Yep.
oh, yeah, because I mean, sometimes it just needs to be super obvious.
Bad thing is if you paint
So
it
there-
and repaint it,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
real
so
slow.
therefore,
I know.
the new
Especially-
ordinance,
it's awful.
the new
Especially with snow.
ordinance is, we're asking on the north side of Nye, from South Nash easterly to 100 feet, and then on Nye on the south side where the stop sign is, a distance of 30 feet. So we're looking for an approval on that one.
That's under H. So are there any questions on this ordinance before we pass it?
Is that in our packet?
That was sent after.
Yeah.
Is it separate?
Yeah, it's G and H. They're the same. They're
G
exactly
and
the
H.
same. I'm sorry,
So
Pat.
that's under.
G is the discussion and
The
H is
The
the
amended,
action.
okay,
Yep.
okay.
It's with
Yep,
the amended
that's why
agenda.
some of my stuff looks goofy, okay.
Mhm.
But then as this is written, it needs to be changed.
Do I?
For the south side of,
No?
Those-
No.
Yeah, this one's straight.
we want to be 30 feet from the stop sign, not 30 feet from the intersection. That's what I'm saying.
I believe this diagram shows 30 feet from the intersection, but this one says 30 feet. I don't know that
It just says 30 feet.
It just says
And it
30
doesn't
feet
have a
From
starting
South
point.
Nash.
Well, it says from South
Nye to
Nash.
South Nash.
Mhm. So would we have to change that to,
So
From
the
the
stop
stop
sign
sign?
is,
It should be
is
45 feet.
west
Mhm.
of the west boundary of Nash Street? That's what you're saying?
Typically, the stop signs are set back from the intersection a little bit.
Right.
Right.
So if we
And
want
this
to make,
reads from the boundary.
It should be 45 feet westerly from Nash on the bottom one. South side of Nash Street, westerly for a distance of 45 feet. Because what they didn't accommodate for is the 15 extra feet. They went 30 feet from the intersection, not from the stop sign.
yes, there was reasonable, yes.
Yeah, so it should be 45 feet.
Are the people at Black Otter aware of this?
Yes, I made contact with Bob yesterday,
Awesome.
so.
Thank you for that.
Are there any other questions? Then could we have a motion, please?
Motion to approve O 2419, ordinance to amend the section 7.055 of the Village Code of Ordinances with amending the footage on Nye Street south side from South Nash westerly for a distance of 45 feet.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I is any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion?
I have one. I talked to Peter today with the public facilities committee meeting never getting rescheduled. We want to put it back on the agenda to amend the Opera House pricing schedule to increase what we retain for not-for-profit rentals for that facility. So I know you wanted to have some discussion on it. Nathan we had a proposed, essentially what the problem is, we want to be able to retain a larger amount of money for not-for-profits, because if they're renting the facility, they're using powered or vans, janitorial, in the past, we've given not-for-profits a free pass, and we're starting to see bigger events that have janitorial needs, toiletry needs, power needs, so we want to adjust it one more time to accommodate that. It was at my discretion that we think it should just be written into the rental agreement as well. So I think Nathan and I will come up with a schedule, and we'll put it out for discussion on the next agenda, which would be December 5th also. Then we can have that open discussion if there's any questions on it. But the last one that rented it was for the Humane Society. We retained $100 just for janitorial, toiletries, and like I said, they had a van, so they used power. It covered basically, we had a janitor that went through here for 2 hours.
Yeah, I didn't have any questions on that.
Okay, I thought
My
it was
questions
good.
are more on some of the conditions right now that's happening to the Opera House with some of the stuff going on. So I don't know if that's a public facilities meeting later on.
We would have to call one, yes.
Yeah, and that, it's not urgent, but we have cracked walls.
I do have Rob Stiles is monitoring that. He has pictures, so I'm
Okay.
keeping tabs on it also
Okay.
to make sure that we're not degrading it.
Okay.
From settling or damage?
Both.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna need
Okay,
we're gonna need
so-
some underpinning.
Mhm.
We got some serious wall movement, not
And light fixtures broken. Mhm.
Okay, so let's set another meeting,
okay.
and we'll discuss that issue along with the increase of the fees.
Okay. Then do you want to do it on the 5th prior, like
Yeah.
5:30?
That works.
I think a half hour is definitely doable.
Yeah, we can do it easily in a half.
We have that, at 5:30, we have that public hearing also, right?
Yes, we
It's
do.
on the 19th.
That was on the
That's the
19th.
19th.
Okay, so we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved it to the 19th.
So 5:30 on the 15th,
Public
is
facilities.
that correct?
Yes. I will still put it as an agenda item in case we have to move on something.
Okay,
Okay,
Okay.
and then I do have one item that we talked about just briefly as we were shutting everything down the other night. Executive committee is, I believe, is it likely an ordinance that created executive committee?
Not that we can figure.
Not, we can figure,
It's
so,
just a practice, right?
practice, so we talked about maybe dissolving executive committee as that level. So if that could be an agenda item sometime in the future, that'd be great.
Are there any other topics? If not, we'll move to 9, report of village officials. A, administrator.
Sorry, I'm writing yet. I had my hand out, so I wanted to give everybody a sneak peek. Mr. Nathan, Jane, myself, Carl, a little bit of Liddy. It's been a hectic last couple of weeks, but happy to report, and that's why I put it in red. Good things are happening. Village portion of the TID in 2019, mill rate $9.41 per thousand. The 2020 proposal is to go to $8.87 per thousand. Now that is not what we had proposed with the 842. This is TID in, so that includes all of the TID's funding. TID out is where we were discussing the $8.42 per thousand, which was in 2019. The 2020 proposal does move our mill rate to $8.57 per thousand. That was within the $8.51 to $8.65 that we had proposed for the village board. However, with closures, net new construction, the total mill rate to our residents 2019, $23.01 per thousand, and it's proposed a $22.29 per thousand, which equates to a 72-cent per thousand reduction for all village residents. Approximately $127 return on a $150,000 house. So that is
Good news.
good news, absolutely. And that includes, with our proposal, that also includes not using fund balance to balance the budget. It also includes our capital program, which exceeds $100,000 with Carl's add-ins. So, and that would also allow us to maintain and stabilize that levy moving forward. It'll basically go up and down with what we have. I'm expecting another exceptional year next year with net new construction, north of $100,000 of added money that we will see in our budget next year for what we had. The calculations this year added 67,000. We're at 2 times that this year for net new construction. So we're gonna see a substantial year next year for to be able to balance our budget with operations. Any questions on that? Again, that'll be a formal proposal at the next board meeting on the 5th. Okay, moving into economic development. The vacation process is processing. It's moving forward. Bob's been handling 99.9% of it. It's mostly legal stuff right now. Do you want to give an update, Bob? I'd entertain it.
Yeah, I think it's on track. We're set for the 19th. James posted notice. We've sent personal notices to the interested property owners. And Chris helped with the service of those notices in the village on the ones that were available here. And the only other thing, everything really is ready to go. We're waiting on the deed from Cottages on the Main. Because when we get done, if you have a reversion, when you vacate a street, it typically reverts to the adjacent property owners. On the north side, that would mean Cottages on the Main would be the owner of that vacated strip. But we have their verbal promise from before that they will quitclaim that to the village. So we're trying to get that deed ahead of time. We have a legal description, that's been sent out, and I got a response.
Saw that, yes.
So that response kind of told me that they're okay, that they
Yes.
would sign it.
Yes.
But, so that's where we're at. So I anticipate no problems. We'll have the hearing on the 19th, and you know, if anybody shows with questions or objections, but I anticipate not. Yeah.
If they quick claim it to the village, is that landlocked? Will we have access to it?
No, okay, so, the lot, the part we're vacating there is where we, basically eliminated Michael Rittger as a through street,
Right,
right, or between the corner.
right,
So the village has purchased the lot to the south of that, from Parker's.
right.
That's lot 1 of that, and so Vans is buying that from us, but prior to that, what we're gonna do is resurvey that lot, and the entire vacated street area will be added to that lot.
Okay,
And that's what's gonna be then sold to Vans.
okay,
There is
Construction.
also, there's an
So there won't,
easement
yeah,
there
so
as
there
well.
won't be any gap there.
okay. So the southern portion of that right away and the northern portion would be sold as part of that lot 1?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, and we already, of course, with, the southern part would revert to the village, but the northern part would legally revert to the Cottages, and that's why we need that part documented.
So is
but the
there,
cottages are gonna quit claim
Yes,
back to us?
yes.
Okay, so
Because
does
they have
that,
no purpose, they have no use
Yeah.
for it. And,
right,
you know, I'd be crazy, it'd be spiteful if they didn't want it.
And they would have to maintain it,
Yeah.
yeah.
so
Yeah.
it serves no purpose to them.
but now the part that we are maintaining an easement on for possible utilities at some point.
It-
Is there something in that lot that says they can't build in that section? Because I would hate for Vance to put a house there and then realize later on, oh, by the way, we wanted to put a water line there.
It's already eased, there's
Yeah,
already an
there's an
easement
easement
there.
there.
It's a sewer easement, it's a stormwater easement, so it's already listed on the.
So, but
It's
nothing
listed.
is changing,
Nope.
like, they can't build on
Nope.
that
No,
part of
no.
that easement? is
No,
being
because
removed.
when we do the certified survey map, once we go through the vacation process, then Carol Land Surveying has to come in one last time and
Okay.
do a CSM, and that will show the easements that are reserved.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanna make
So-
sure we're not building a house on top of where a gas
No,
line.
there's a catch basin right off the end of Michael Richter, which runs to the catch basin, or the storm water on the newly constructed Brookwood Drive. So it connects on the top and it runs downhill to Brookwood, and that's how it connects into the storm main.
Yeah,
So-
but someday in the future,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, that's why we're keeping the easement
Yeah,
down
yeah,
there.
yeah, it's in the ground already, it's done, so.
Okay.
it-
All right,
So will that increase the sale price of that lot, or we just, okay, just deed
We
it back?
already
It was
agreed to
already-
sell them 25 a pop
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
all of them, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it will add to the tax.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we'll get a little bit of it.
That creates a .46 acre lot, which is a fairly nice lot in the
Yeah.
village. It's almost a half acre lot, so. Along with that, second bullet point here, we had a soft closing yesterday on the sale of TID's lots 3 and 4 across the street in TID 4. Tomorrow is the hard closing, so we have done our part. Bob prepared the deeds. I delivered the deeds yesterday to the title company. They are doing the signing with Vance Constructions tomorrow, and they're gonna put them in the mail, so those will be done. On an even stronger note, they were in last week, they pulled permits. They are ready to move forward with digging basements as soon as they have those in hand. So
Well,
we're gonna see 2 new houses in there yet this year, or the start of them this year. Going along with the email I sent last week Friday, the TID 2 reimbursements, I did bring one copy along. I met with the high school finance director yesterday and the administrator. The school district has agreed moving forward to co-op our crossing guard expenditures, which are $12,324 is what we are expending in 2020. So they have agreed to do a 50-50 co-op to give these funds back, because essentially the way I sold it to them is that, you know, had things been different, you probably would not have seen these funds. This is a pure bonus. I think it's time now that you work with us and help counter our expenditures. Todd did his homework. The majority of the municipalities surrounding us, they do a 50-50 co-op with the school district. So he's gonna propose that. It's not a done deal yet. He has to propose it to his school board. So I just wanted to report it to you that we're trying to get these funds back in best we can. So I think moving forward, we'll have at least a 50-50 co-op, which essentially will save the PDs. It falls on your budget, but it's a $6,000 expenditure that we can retain. So if there's any questions on that?
no, just the hiring, and nothing changes, really,
No,
everything is still
no.
done through the
Yep.
PD, it's
It would
just,
strictly be a line item
okay,
that they would write a check, you know.
okay,
We could actually, Todd also brought up the fact that our SRO contracts have been very favorable to the district, that he just made a recommendation that we need to do this. So it was a good conversation. He had no issues with it.
Okay.
So, okay, community development, had an ADRC meeting today. Jane and I and myself and Nathan sat in the meeting with Amy Bastian, who's the director for ADRC Outagamie County. I will have a formal board approval and acceptance of the rideshare for the van program on the 5th also. They answered the questions that were lingering as far as budgeting, but it's not only is it a rideshare, it's a budgetary where we will need to propose to you a short-term loan to get the program going, and then every quarter we submit a bill that will repay us back. This is an annual operating budget. I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was a one-year deal. It's not. They're building these ride shares in municipalities to take heat off of them. So they will continually fund this process, and the funds that we generate through donations will be funding senior services and our Legion services. So this is a revenue source for the village, and it's gonna be county funded. As long as we can maintain our volunteer base, that's gonna be the hardest thing to find. So that's where we're gonna put our interest moving forward. But I will have that formal approval and have all of the pieces for the December 5th meeting. We had a dog waste station. I didn't know if this was community development or not. I didn't know where to put it, but I wanted to mention it. Dog waste station installed yesterday at the entrance on Village Hall and Nash Street, so down here. It's just what it is. It's a place where you can grab bags for your dog waste, and it's also got a garbage receptacle on it. People have been asking, people that walk their dogs on the campus, so.
How much was that?
Approximately $275, and Carl took it from some of his park funds.
Memorial Square would be another location.
Absolutely, yep,
Yeah.
okay.
Was on downtown Appleton, I saw one
Yeah.
right on their downtown strip.
I see
Yes,
people
yeah.
all the time, like, they'll pick up at our house and then they're looking all over for garbage and then they end up kind of going over there. But I just think that's a nice,
Sure.
that's such a busy intersection and a lot of walkers.
City of Kiel has 4 of them, and they have a sponsor for them. So I'm gonna, and Carl, we just wanted to get it installed, so I'm gonna work on sponsoring. I'm gonna, hit people like the vet clinic. And what they essentially do is they sponsor the bags in it.
Yeah.
They sponsor the roll bags, and Public Works doesn't have a problem cleaning up the emptying, but they get costly. You're a couple hundred bags a year going in and out of those. So I'll work with Carl, we'll get some letters out and see if somebody wants to put a sponsorship on it. So again, I didn't know if that was community development, but I guess it was the best.
Public safety.
Public safety, yep. Village programs, planning activity. For those of you who don't know, the old village storage shed is complete prior to the 12/1 deadline. CA Builders did a beautiful job on it. It's going to be full real quick. So we have some final excavating yet to get the grades established prior to the winter months. But yeah, it's a nice facility. That last voucher is in your voucher listing this time around. For those of you who are asking about the dam, Immel Excavating completed the riprap in the dam. That's why we had the closure. Was that last week? Was it last week?
Week before.
Week before, okay. So they installed the huge riprap rocks that are on the base of the dam, so we're all compliant with the DNR. B&H Lighting did a walkthrough last week. We are all set. We're waiting on 2 fixtures in the library that we added additionally, because the 2 that were in there, the pendant lights that are in the children's reading area, they are not LED, they just didn't look good. So we opted to add them. So we added to the, Carl had funds, so we expended it. It's gonna complete the deal. Those are on wait yet, so we're gonna get real close to that project being done. Nathan and I looked at the bill today. The bill that we have, the last utility bill, did not reflect the changes yet. The dates of function dates were not. It was in October, so we're expecting next week here we're hoping to see a drastic reduction in the utility bills here.
Do you recall what the payback was?
2.4 years, I believe.
Okay.
So I'm also been working with the fire department, and Bob is also working on some of the ordinance language currently. We received a letter that we were able to get funds repaid from the state and or county if we were not able to collect them from insurance or people when they had accidents. So I proposed it to the fire department. They had a system that they used in years past. It's gone away. I said to them, it's time we think about redoing this again. So again, I want to make a formal proposal to the village board to bring back that collection system that would allow us to collect for our usage of cleanup pads, cleanup equipment on site. This wouldn't be for fires or for structure. And I'm proposing that we don't bill it out to Hortonville or Hortonville residents. This would be our other people, our other users. So this would be a way it would be administered through the admin building, and it would set up a fund for the fire department to use for equipment replacement. So essentially, I got all of my information from Grand Chute. They do the program. We're about the only municipality that does not recuperate these funds. So it's time to get on board.
Have you talked to Hortonian all about this?
I'm gonna propose it at our next fire meeting.
Yeah, because if they're okay with our admin doing all of that,
Yep.
it shouldn't be.
And essentially, the way I wrote it is, our admin, I'm proposing a 25% recuperation for us for our time. So whatever comes in, the village will retain 25% for whoever's working on it, time for preparing checks and vouchers. So
Still more than they're getting now, so,
what's that?
still more than they're getting now.
Anything better
so.
than 0 is better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So And the fire department didn't balk at it. Essentially, they have a one-page sheet that they gotta fill out at an accident scene. We're gonna take it from there. With the pricing schedule, we'll prepare an invoice, we'll send it off. At 30 days, if you don't receive any payment, you send it to an insurance company. If they don't pay, then we can recoup it from the state or county. That's how the program works. So we have the out. So it's just a matter, it's the formality of doing the paperwork. More to come on that one. Alright, so, marketing, branding. Last week met with members of the Greenville Lionesses Club and school officials. They are looking to potentially bring their craft fair here October 4th of 2020. What we did is we proposed closure of Warner Street from Nash all the way down to Town Drive and then east on Town Drive behind Gilbert's. We would close that thoroughfare off. That area is 2,980 feet. They sell in chunks of 10 feet, so that would allow 297 vendors on each side of the road by also allowing the middle thoroughfare of the road for your walking, and then the vendors would be on the outside of the road. It would allow all of the school's parking lots to be flow for traffic and craft vendor parking. Better than 700 cars on their main lot for visitors, and they're ecstatic.
They had a mess this past year.
It was
Yeah.
terrible.
It was
Yeah.
awful.
They're ecstatic. They're actually considering cutting back on their vendors, going away from power and doing true vendors, because they had special requests for power and electricity, and they don't want to deal with it. They just want to go back to their roots
That's how we did it.
of a craft vendor, and then they're going to enroll with all the service clubs at the school for their service hours as well as volunteerism. They are working right now with the facilities people at the school to see if this is going to be possible. And I said, you know, if you guys can figure it out, then we can figure it out. But the good news is it's 450 vendors and it's 10,000 people that came to this event.
Oh, yeah.
So if we can get that traffic through the village, it's nothing but a win for the village.
Yeah, you know, this is really close to what we do.
No,
No?
no.
I think you'll be okay because there's enough of a gap in time.
And this is
Yeah.
such a, this is an
Ridiculously
annual
large,
event.
yeah.
Yeah, I
That
know,
was-
it's been going on for many years, and I know they've had nothing but problems out there at
Yeah.
Lions Park.
Traffic is also an issue on 706, the in and out. It's no different than the Catfish Race concert. You know, that is such an issue. And when I was on the Greenville Lioness, we actually were still at the other park in Greenville. We moved it out too, and it was such a big
really small
deal.
then, yeah.
And it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger every year. They had such a mess though this past fall.
The bonus is that we'll have people parking on parking lots, not on grass, and
That's the only
the
way.
issue.
And I said
Turn up that field.
I will only agree to this if Chris gives the stamp of approval and we get to recoup some of our costs for our policing, because we'll have to have
Oh, yeah.
extra policing. They didn't bat an eye at it because of what their revenue source is. And I said, I want to make sure that we have bathroom facilities, and we also have to address the fact that it's on a Sunday. School's back on Monday, so you can't lock the gates up. We gotta have it tear at 3 o'clock, it's gotta be done, and you gotta get portables picked up, you gotta
Yeah.
get cleaned up, we're gonna run our street sweeper through it.
Yeah.
We gotta have dumpsters picked up, you know what I'm saying, if you have
They're built for
dumpsters.
that.
Yeah,
Well, the Lioness Club, and it works really closely, and they're a team. And
they are organized, Julie, I'll give them that, so
Yep.
they were on the spot.
I
They
was-
answered those questions and they had answers for everything that I proposed. And I had done a lot of it with the chamber affiliations that I did in Kiel, a lot of the organizing and coordinating of these events. So spot on with that,
Yeah.
they were awesome to work with. Outside meetings, we're doing quarterly planning meetings at the Allegheny County Highway Department. Carl and I attended that. Obviously, most of you were at the emergency management training meeting last week, and then with the Lionesses Club. And then, because we have some projects coming up with rain gardens, I sat in on municipal applications for rain gardens, for developments for housing, future housing, and then handling of difficult conversations webinar this past week also. So that's all I have.
Any questions for David? If not, we'll move to B, clerk treasurer.
I just have that I handed out the candidacy papers to the 3 incumbents. They are due, if you're not going to run, that's due on December 27th. The deadline is 5 p.m., but you can turn it in at any point.
Who's up?
Who's up? Pat?
Pat? Oh, you,
Shauna and Julie.
okay.
And you can start circulating on December 1, and they're due by January 7th. If you have any questions on filling out the forms, give me a call.
So thanks.
You're up already?
Any questions for Jane?
That's fast.
We'll move to C, Director of Public Works. Does Carl have any?
Just, I incorporated in my report with the riprap and other projects, so.
Okay.
Just Matt.
And
Yeah.
then D, we will move to
Yeah.
the police chief.
I'll move that as evidence.
He's not here, so say whatever you want about it.
Glad I showed up.
We had the ICS meeting, 402 meeting. I think there was a good turnout, 13. Most of you had attended that. We still have the one going on for 12/18, on December 18th. I think you're on that one, I think,
Right.
and there's 4 or 5 other people from other jurisdictions, neighboring jurisdictions that are coming.
Okay.
So
12/18?
12/18, yep, 6:30. International Game Day was a lot of fun. Village president brought cookies, so they were a big hit. We roughly had maybe, while we were there, probably 20 kids at that time. So I was on the floor playing checkers with the kids, and we got called away for a scam, and then we had a auto theft that happened outside of the village, but we ended up catching the vehicle in Greenville, so that was a good thing. And then I'd just like to talk about the FEMA grant. Carla, myself, and Jane, and now we got Libby in it. We've all been working hard on it. We're trying to wrap that up this week. We are actually looking at dollar amounts for the DPW, 17,000 something. Fire department, high 15,000, for like a total of 33,000 for grant. So from that storm that we had in July. So like I said, we're hoping to wrap that up by tomorrow. So
I'd like to add something about scams. I ran into a very interesting situation this week. On Facebook, there was an ad for a POS system, and we're looking for a point of sale system for our business that incorporates QuickBooks. So I responded to it, gave some basic information. I've been inundated with probably 15 to 20 different calls. And they're not from overseas. One was a legit company out of Canada, but the one I received that she kept calling back was calling from a 920 number. So I said, where's your company located? Well, we're in Florida. Where are you calling from? Florida. I said, is your number 920? That's our area code. Click. So if you're asking anybody about where they're calling from, or you look at the number that comes up on your caller ID, you can always question it. And if they're not calling from 920, then you know it's a fake
Sometimes they
call.
From your own number.
Yeah,
That's
they
what's
right.
do,
really
they're
crazy.
calling from your own.
Or you miss a
numbers.
call and you call it back and it's somebody's residence.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there are a lot of scams out there.
There are, and specifically this one here, it was their Norton software on their computer was expiring. It was $299. They actually deposited $4,299 into her account. Requested that this is where you know it's fake. I mean, they put more money in the account, and then they told her to withdraw the $4,000 and go get Macy or Best Buy gift cards.
Yeah, right.
Do not get gift cards.
No.
Once they ask you for gift cards. So, and then he so happened to call away.
Hmm?
She was in my police department, so I
No.
spoke with him. So. Yeah, awful lot of scams going on out there. I think
There are.
last week I spoke with, we have that group that comes in once a month, elderly group, so we put together a presentation for them and kind of informed them about a lot of the different scams that are out there.
It'll get worse because it's Christmas time, so that's when they
Oh,
really
yeah.
pull
Well, it
out.
seems like every time there's some type of a disaster, that's when they really strike, so, the IRS one's gonna be coming around soon
Mhm.
because of the tax season and stuff like that, so.
You see these Chinese ones come up, and you know they're from overseas, they're from China, and it shows this guy, and you can't see if he's Oriental or not, driving this mini Bobcat. So he's doing excavating and stuff, and you click on for, to see what the price is. Was $10,355, but on sale for $299. Come on, with free freight. I reported a scam.
Chris,
Anyway.
I'm sorry, Chris, what group did you do that presentation for?
Stepping up,
Stepping up.
stepping up program.
Oh.
Stepping on,
Oh, okay,
stepping on program, yes.
cause
So we talked about parking lot safety, and then, we talked about the scams.
okay. Could you repeat that sometime if we
Yes,
offer that?
absolutely,
Yes, okay, great, thanks.
absolutely. And just because the elderly don't have the Facebook and stuff like that, so anytime I can get a chance to get in and do a presentation to the older folks, that are not on Facebook, gladly accept that.
Good, thank you.
Is there a scam awareness program that you could host for anybody in the community that wants to attend?
Sure.
I think Fox Valley Tech has some, and not to get into a big discussion, but I think, isn't Fox Valley Tech with their criminal justice, don't they have like a cybersecurity instructor or somebody that does that sort of thing? I just remember years ago I was connected to somebody when I had questions.
So he could come out and do a presentation? Is that what you're saying?
Something, I just remember when I had questions about that sort of question, somebody referred me to Fox Valley Tech and I couldn't tell you who it was. They teach a class and that's something that they cover in that class.
Well, and one of the biggest problems is that people are calling from the 920 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, anytime your phone rang, you picked it up, and to train people to let it go to voicemail if you don't recognize the number is just really difficult because they're like, well, what if it's my insurance company? What if it's my dentist? What if it's, something? And so I tell them, they can leave a message. You can call them back.
But invariably they don't. You go to voicemail and there's nothing there, so it's,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
it's,
Right.
I get a lot of them.
And I do too. I mean, I had one this morning from Washington DC. I thought it was President Trump calling me. And it happened to be, I'm like, usually I don't answer, but I did answer and it was FEMA, so.
The mistake I made a couple of years ago was to put my cell number on my Facebook page.
Yeah,
That was the worst thing I could have done.
yeah.
So I finally took it off, but that's where it starts.
Yeah.
Then they sell those numbers.
Yep.
Anyway,
Nice program to co-sponsor with the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Chris? Not, we'll move to the library director, but she is not here. Then F is attorney.
Yeah, just one thing, sheriff's sale has been scheduled for the Schilling property, and that's January 9 at 9 a.m. at the Outagamie County Courthouse.
what are they asking for that?
Don't know at this point in time. J.P. Morgan Chase is the plaintiff, and they would set their, the original judgment was $114,000. But they're gonna have to make a decision as to what they want to bid. If you bid in the amount of your judgment, well, then you're gonna be the high bidder, and then
Right.
now you have to, get a realtor and do that. So they'll typically evaluate it and decide at their opening bid, and if somebody goes over it, it's theirs. So,
But the
but
village,
you don't know until.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the village still has some interest in them, don't we? As
No,
far as
actually, what
utilities?
happened, no, because, we're concerned before because our water and sewer monies have been put on the taxes and, besides getting it back into
Right.
being a nice site and lived in, we had that interest, but earlier this year, JP Morgan Chase actually paid the tax bill.
Good,
And so we got our monies, right?
perfect.
So
It was substantial too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
it was
was
like,
good.
what, 30,000?
30-some thousand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah, but you can, anybody interested, you typically, it varies with the bank and the attorneys, but you can typically call a day or two before the sale and ask the attorneys if they know what their opening bid is.
Okay.
And then you can plan accordingly, because you do have to have 10% certified funds with you if you're the high bidder.
Okay.
And then the rest is paid at the time that the sale is confirmed, which is usually a couple weeks out. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. That's all I got, Jeannie.
Okay. G is building permit report, and there is none. H is municipal court report. Did everyone get this court schedule?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Schedule, yeah.
then we're all good on that. Number 10 is communication and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News.
There's a meeting on December 18th. The end of the year meeting.
Okay, B is Hortonville Hortonia Fire District News. Nothing. C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report is not in the packet this time. D is Hortonville Civic Association.
Nothing at this time.
Actually, I have a question for you, Peter.
Mhm.
Is the Holiday Bazaar, is that Civic Association or is that your business?
That's Donaldson's.
I was asked, and I
Nope,
said it was
that's
Donaldson's.
Donaldson's.
Okay, so I wasn't, I'm not in error on that, okay.
E is Senior Activities Committee.
Okay, we had a meeting today. I'll just pass one of these postcards to each of you, so you know what's coming up in the next month, and if you'd like to attend the meal, the holiday meal on the 2nd, just have to call and reserve your spot, or let me know tonight and I'll sign you up. We're doing, if you see on there, we're having a couple, carpool to the Menominee Park for the Christmas lights. We'll just meet here at 5 o'clock, whoever's here. We're going to drive down to Oshkosh for that. And then, in coordination with the library, we're gonna do ornament making on the 16th, after the senior birthday party. The library is now delivering books to Care Partners, up here. So we made a connection there, which was nice. Hopefully we'll get them on board in our committee. The ADRC classes are set for 2020 down at the Opera House and here. And our next full committee meeting will be January 23rd. We're gonna take December off.
Any questions for Pat? We'll move to 11, comments and suggestions from citizens present. There are none. 12 is adjournment.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are now adjourned.